Okay, so hey, hi, Kezia, and welcome to this podcast. Okay, and this podcast gonna be on LinkedIn, the mostly on the B2B marketing. Why B2B marketing? Through LinkedIn marketing, how uh, we can do a good B2B marketing and all.
Mhm.
Okay, so of course, the we're gonna part it in three parts in the podcast. Gonna be in first year, what is the industrial perspective, okay, and then the career perspectives, and then last the entrepreneurial perspective, and then we're
Yeah,
gonna conclude it with the future, perspectives of overall LinkedIn industry and B2B marketing and all. Okay,
right.
so yeah, so of course we're gonna deep dive on those key topics and all, and hopefully that my audience will get a lot of in-depth understanding of LinkedIn marketing and B2B marketing and all. Because when it comes to B2B marketing, it is not only a LinkedIn but also other tools we normally use. Okay,
Yeah,
and nowadays when it comes to marketing, mostly marketing nowadays happening through social media marketing or digital marketing. Once upon a time, it used to happen that TV commercials and all those conventional marketing was happening at the time. But nowadays what happened nowadays is more onto digital marketing, more onto social media marketing and all. So
yeah,
but in this social media marketing also, if we think the what are the types or segregate that like that particular marketing, digital marketing industry also, there are a lot of tools we normally go ahead with, like even it is FB or Meta, that is now Meta business marketings and all, and then Insta, and then Google marketing, Google ads and all. So and then of course YouTube, marketings and all. This all come into that picture nowadays in digital marketing and all. But I think still people don't know that much about LinkedIn.
yeah,
Those who having a professional career and very much active in LinkedIn, they know how this tool, how LinkedIn can be used as a digital marketing for the case of B2B. Because if what I feel because I'm very active in LinkedIn. Okay, and most of my leads or clients normally converted through LinkedIn,
nice.
because my business is more on to B2B and all.
Yeah,
So these things are for through this podcast, I uh, me of course and my audience want to understand, because you are expertise in this LinkedIn marketing, and you're having your a small farm also that you started, which is a very no very appreciating, I should that you started this small age, you started your own farm and all. So I actually definitely we're gonna deep dive on those key topics. But before that, I and me my audience want to understand your profile, who uh, who you are, uh, and what is your organization name, and then what is that profile, services that we provide and all, and then we can eventually deep dive with our topic. Yeah, please start your profile and introduce yourself. Yeah, over to you.
sounds good. Thank you so much, Mirdul, for that. Thanks for having me. As you mentioned, I think a stat that I want to point out is LinkedIn just turned 20 this year, and so it's a great time for us to talk about why LinkedIn is useful, especially in the B2B space. A little bit about me. My name's Kezia Korah. I'm the founder of Lynkk. We're a B2B marketing company, and we primarily specialize in marketing through LinkedIn, both for personal brands as well as company accounts. So that's
Mhm,
just a little bit about me. Just some
mhm,
general stats around LinkedIn that I thought were quite interesting. 60% of the current LinkedIn audience is between the age of 25 and 34. So it's very young, uh, a
yeah.
network you can tap into. They're at the age of being influenced, especially in business. I guess in life, you get influenced until the age of 25. But around this age, you're still looking at, maybe you're looking for jobs, maybe you're looking at advancing your career, maybe you're looking at, advancing your business. So it's an age where you're still doing a lot, and so LinkedIn offers a great space for that. Another thing that I love about LinkedIn is 42% of the leadership roles on LinkedIn at present are women. So it gives you a little more equality in that sense, and you get to reach both men as well as women as decision makers.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. So tell us something about your that organizations, like how you started, when you started, when you think, and how you came up this kind of a plan, like to start your these organizations. And
Right. So there are a couple of ways that one could get started, but my journey was a little different. So I started off with LinkedIn
Mm,
marketing when I worked for a company. It was previously known as Work Network, and then they pivoted to Creator Club. So I handled
mhm,
all of their sales and marketing, which we primarily executed through LinkedIn because that's where we found the most quality leads come in. And relationships were built that were more long lasting, and that led to better conversion than leads that we got from other channels like Facebook and Instagram, which fall under Meta. So that being
mm,
said, I gained my skills there, and then I was actually looking to set up an F&B cloud kitchen. But the second lockdown hit, and I was unable to find chefs, as all of the chefs had kind of returned back home. And my goal was to always be in the digital space, so it kind of worked out that I wasn't able to do that. I was helping a family friend out with her LinkedIn part time on the side, just to kind of generate some income and not be entirely dependent on my parents during that time of trying to set up my business. And I was able to generate leads for her. So she is also a career professional. She's helps individuals with business coaching. And so she suggested that, why don't you set up a business around LinkedIn marketing? And because I had the resources at the time, I just got started. I did it for a few individuals within my immediate network. So I worked with companies as well as individual clients, and we were able to generate leads. And so I hired more individuals, set up a team, grew the team, and my goal was actually always to kind of eventually lead to product, because I like that journey of service to product. So we collected data throughout, and the great part is that data collection helped us not only brainstorm a product for ourselves, but it helped us
mhm,
identify a track of creating content for clients that really worked, because we were collecting data on every single piece of content we put out. We would look at monthly analytics for each of our clients, and we were able to improve their month on month metrics, if not maintain them, to ensure that they were only growing, or at least maintaining a certain level of credibility, rather than a lot of these mass marketing approaches where you spend a lot of money, put out a lot of content, but then you don't really see any leads or conversion at the end of it.
yeah, very interesting, very interesting. So I just want to understand that. See, when it's come to B2B,
Yeah.
as we were discussing that, there are a lot of other tools also. Okay, but why LinkedIn is you have selected LinkedIn for your B2B marketing?
Yeah.
I mean, is there any? Yeah, please.
Yeah. So, um, relevant to India right now on LinkedIn, India is the number one searched hashtag. So I think LinkedIn is a great
Yeah.
platform for B2B companies, especially in India. In the world, more than 58 million companies are listed on LinkedIn. So you have other websites like TechCrunch or Crunchbase where you have company listings, but LinkedIn
Mm,
has that as well as a mix of a professional network. So you can not only see the company, but you can also see all of the people that work for the company, which on a
yeah.
human level, we like to see other
Mm,
humans. And so that really draws individuals in. Another
mm,
factor is when you have your company listed on LinkedIn, it improves your brand perception. Your company is viewed of a higher quality, because, for instance, if you landed on my profile and you saw a company name and you clicked on it and there was a link that went to no active page, you would kind of be questioning the credibility of that company, because at present if you go to any user's profile, you would expect to see a LinkedIn company page for that user, right? Because from there you have links to then go to their website or see their employees, see their company size, and find out so much information about the company in one click, which really cuts down friction and also adds a lot of credibility to your brand. Another key factor for LinkedIn is that 4 out of 5 people on LinkedIn are key decision makers. So it really cuts down that funnel approach, right? So when you go through Facebook or Instagram, for instance, say you connect with a BD associate or a partnerships associate, you'd engage with the conversation, then you have to wait for them to speak with their manager and then get back. And then their manager may have to then discuss it with the director or the managing director or chairman, which adds a couple more steps. And the process is just a lot more lengthy and tedious. Whereas on LinkedIn, you can connect directly with key decision makers, which cuts down a lot of the time that you spend marketing. Exactly. And so 96% of B2B marketers prefer to use LinkedIn for organic social marketing. Most people on LinkedIn are looking to learn information specific to business, right? And so it produces the best organic results. In terms of ads, 80% of B2B marketers use LinkedIn ads because the leads that you receive through LinkedIn are of a higher quality. Most individuals on LinkedIn are either college students or have a career, because you have to have a certain level of a resume to create a profile. If you have a profile with nothing on it, you don't really seem that credible, right? And so they automatically become better quality leads. The ad reach on LinkedIn grew by 22 million in Q4 of 21. So that just shows how much LinkedIn is growing and how relevant it has become in the B2B space of late. LinkedIn also gives you 2x higher conversion rates as well as average buying power as a result of the decision makers, as mentioned before. And so we personally prefer, and I think statistically as well, it's a great platform for B2B marketing as well as sales.
Yeah, exactly. Because being a marketer, I am also a marketing research and market research professional. So, of course, when it comes to B2C, like marketing in the sense we want to, or if my product or our client's product is more focused to consumers who is normal people, population directly, who is that is nothing but we are targeting the consumers here. Then of course, for that case, of course, go ahead with Insta. If it is a fashion, I mean, for that case, if your companies are kind of in the kind of fashion designing, or where it is kind of groceries or e-commerces and all, then definitely go ahead with the platforms like Insta, AB, and all other, like Google Ads and all this. But yeah, on the other hand, when it comes to B2B, then of course there is no comparison of B2B. LinkedIn, because it's directly very shorted. I mean, targeted customers. Like, what is, if you are looking for to talk with the directors of any kind of companies, or the managers level or C-level persons of any company, then you can directly approach them. You can directly connect them. And even LinkedIn giving that kind of a premium services also, that you can directly message them to those directors and C-level persons to connect. So from that perspective, yeah, you are rightly saying that from that perspective, it makes our work very easy on that case. Okay, because with other platforms, it takes a lot of time, a lot of filtrations, and then we got to connect with the person whom actually we wanted to talk. But here with LinkedIn, you have a direct kind of interaction with that person.
Definitely.
So that's the, I mean, yeah, of course, yeah. So when it comes to tell me.
Sorry,
Yeah.
what you were saying about Sales Navigator or premium features on LinkedIn, right? Having LinkedIn Premium adds a certain level of credibility. Again, it's very personal, the decision. It's up to you whether you want to do it or not. It doesn't make too much of a difference. Then that being said, if you're an enterprise and you have a large budget, you can activate certain features like the Sales Navigator on LinkedIn, which allows you to add even more filters than you can add on the regular LinkedIn. And say, for instance, you're a company that is looking to connect with HR heads of other companies for a product that you have that
Mhm.
might benefit their employees. You can add very specific filters on LinkedIn to directly target those HR heads at different
Mhm.
companies, the size of the company, the location of the company. There are so many different filters that you can add on LinkedIn, which really gives you a
Mhm.
much more refined list that you can reach out to.
Mhm.
And then you obviously get more level of in mails that you can send out to these individuals to reach out to them if you're not already connected with them. And I think that also gives you a huge advantage in terms of B2B marketing.
Great, great. So now let's come to on the like personal branding perspective. Like uh, yeah, LinkedIn. Like if most of the all like professionals they're using uh, LinkedIn, but they are kind of they don't know how to optimize that
Yeah,
LinkedIn profile, or even the companies also, startup companies like new ventures or firms, their companies pages also they don't know how to optimize that page. Okay,
yeah.
so could you please tell us something on the optimization part, like how to optimize your LinkedIn and why it is important to optimize your LinkedIn, like whether it's a company page or your personal profile.
Yeah. So when I think of personal branding, two people that automatically come to mind are Mark Zuckerberg and Steve Jobs. Could you guess why?
Uh, because these two entrepreneurs, what I feel, this they are solopreneur. They don't have when they started, they the one person company, one man army, you can say. So it's all they. Elon Musk, he himself create this empire, and same with
Yeah.
this Mark Zuckerberg also. So what I feel, what do you think?
Okay. That's good. It makes sense. They're very individual focused, which makes
Ah,
sense. Another
they
thing is,
created their own personal brandings, I think.
yeah, yeah. If you
Yeah.
Google Steve Jobs, would you ever see him in a blue t-shirt?
No,
Yeah,
Steve Jobs.
yeah.
I'm not sure.
Okay. So the reason I think of these two when it comes to personal branding, um,
Mm.
is if you were to Google Steve Jobs or Mark Zuckerberg, you would only see
Mhm.
Steve Jobs in a black turtleneck, and you would only see Mark Zuckerberg in a gray t-shirt, at least 90% of the time, right?
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. Now I
yeah,
can recall. Yeah, it
yeah,
always like on your black T-shirt. Yeah, Steve Jobs.
yes,
And
exactly.
and for the same case, for the same is very interestingly, I wanted to mention for the same case, like like Elon Musk also wearing a T-shirt, kind of
Yeah,
like kind of uniform, like that same repetitively wearing that same.
yes,
Okay. And
yeah,
and Mark Zuckerberg also, like that Facebook T-shirt, wearing the same T-shirts, and yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So when I think of personal brand, this is the analogy that comes to mind, and I find it the best way to think of your personal brand. So your personal brand is
Mm-hmm.
something that is unique to you, that people will constantly remember you by and not see you in anything else, right? Or as anything else. So um,
Mm-hmm.
in some ways that you can use LinkedIn to set up your personal brand is to the basics, set up your profile, make it engaging or include CTAs or a tagline that stands out to you. For instance, my general tagline or my cover photo says, let's break Indian norms, because I tend to talk about topics that are out of the norm, or maybe I have a view
Mm-hmm.
that's out of the norm. So that's where that
Mm-hmm.
comes from. And I tend to stick to that. I'm sure if you've seen some of my posts, they're very controversial at an Indian level.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so that's something that you need to add. A strong profile photo is important. If you've noticed, you'll typically see me wear either the dark blue, which is the Lynkk blue, or black. Those are the only two colors
Mm-hmm.
that I tend to wear. And then you can optimize your LinkedIn SEO by adding your tagline, your about info, your work experience, and some skills. Because when someone searches for you, right, either based on your name or based on your role or the company that you work at, you would want to appear in the first page of your search results. It's kind of like Google search results. If you were looking for a company, you wouldn't go to page 2 and 3 to find the company. You'd only look at page 1 first, right? and then probably eliminate Google as a search option. So it's the same thing. You want to make sure you're appearing in that first page of LinkedIn search results. Another way to achieve this is by being active, posting valuable content, not gyan as we call it over here, where we have a lot of individuals that just preach on LinkedIn, but they're not actually sharing personal insights. You can share industry learnings, but when you merge that with personal insights, it just offers another layer of education and personalization that helps individuals connect with you and builds your unique brand. Another thing that I find really interesting is engaging with the audience that you want to connect with. It's important to not just post and preach, but to also engage with others who are in your field of interest or who you look up to for inspiration to engage with their content, right? So, for instance, Nikhil Narayan, he's quite famous in the advertising industry as well. And I love his posts. I love his LinkedIn personality and his humor. He put up a post, I think, related to toxic work culture in the advertising industry. I'm not really sure, but it was a post that really resonated with me. And I was just scrolling through my LinkedIn and I saw that. So my first response was to respond to a comment that I saw, which was kind of asking him what the meaning of his post is. And for me, that is something that's of I really, really relate to it and I feel strongly about it. So I just responded to the comment in a very straight up manner, which is the way that I speak. I not only got maybe 50 to 100 followers just by commenting on that, I also got Nikhil Narayan responding to my comment, which I didn't expect. I just saw something that I resonated with and I engaged with it. So when you think about putting out content, there's a lot more thought process that goes into it. There's building, you're always thinking about what your audience wants, etc. But sometimes when you kind of just go with the flow and be yourself on LinkedIn, that tends to actually result in a better image and a better, stronger audience or connection that you build out there. Another thing is you can also build your personal brand by doing some outbound work that is connecting with other individuals. So you can send out connection requests to meet new people, but it's really important to include a personal note because for me, if I get more than 50 connection requests in one day, I am not going to go through each and every one of those individuals' profiles. I don't have the time for it. And so those that include a personal note, I'm more likely to click into their profiles over anybody else and see what they're about. Second to that is, like I mentioned, profile photo and tagline. If they have a strong profile photo and a strong tagline, that also draws me to their profile. So these are some of the main things that you'd need to have. Another factor that I find important, which we tend to overlook but also adds a lot of value, is showcasing relevant skills. So it's important to add your top skills to your LinkedIn, and then where you could have picked up those skills. For instance, maybe you worked for someone. It's really important to get that individual to endorse your skills on LinkedIn because it adds a whole other layer of credibility that we notice, but we may not actually pay that much attention to, but it influences our perception of the individual. So all of this comes together to form something called thought leadership. When you create all of this and you focus on putting out content in about 2 to 3 verticals that you're passionate about, you become a thought leader in that space, and people come to you either for information, for a service, for a connection. You never know, but they associate you with that specific topic, and then you become their go-to person for it.
Yeah, interesting, very interesting. So let's come on to if you, as you are a marketer, then tell us something about the as a marketer, what are the challenges that you can face when you do this B2B marketing through LinkedIn, and if anyone through get into time to get into some entrepreneurship on on the through B2B now through LinkedIn. So if anyone any young generation nowadays more inclined to entrepreneurship, and that is, of course, we are lucky enough to getting some promotions from our, or kind of push or kind of drive from our government side also, like government policies and all. and our present government is pushing towards more onto entrepreneurship and also the solopreneurship. Even anyone can start nowadays. They don't need required any partner event. They can one person company is also there nowadays.
Yeah.
And if they are having team, then it's okay. Then you can start your full place LLP company or private limited company. But nowadays, one person company is also there. So it's come when it one person company come into the place, then it's like term I normally find is like it's called a solopreneur. Okay, so one
Yeah.
person company, and you can register your company as a solopreneur, and then you can having your own team. Okay, and do whatever you want to do in this entrepreneurship or a startup journey, a startup uh, place. So what do you think about, like, because you also started some sort of solopreneurs and all, and you started this agency, so what are the challenges that you faced, and and then what is the journey, how you started, and then how this solopreneurship is going on with you, and and is it very difficult to get leads, or clients for this LinkedIn B2B marketing, or all sort of focus some light on that, entrepreneurship on B2B marketing
Yeah.
through LinkedIn. Yep.
Yeah. So I'm gonna kind of go in reverse chronological order for this one because when you
Mm-hmm.
started with challenges, and that's something that I want to address. Now that I've kind
Mm-hmm.
of built up my profile a fair bit and added some level of credibility, a challenge that I face is I get a lot of lead requests, but they're not necessarily leads that want to convert. And so it ends up being a lot of time wasted for my team. It also becomes a little challenging to assess whether this lead is a good lead or not. We haven't yet fully figured that out outside of a referral system. So it's just that which is a little bit challenging. But to go back to the start, for me personally, I started off as an employee as a part of a company, but I didn't think I was going to have a LinkedIn career back then. But that was just the way that I started. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so what happens when you're an employee and you start off, you have some credibility because it shows that you work for a certain company, right? So people are already ready to talk to you. When you're an individual or a freelancer, it's a little more challenging because you have to add a lot to your profile to show credibility, whether that be your portfolio or skills. You have to get, strong individuals to leverage, I mean, to endorse your skills, and then maybe you have to leverage some connections that you have, find the right audience so that it shows good mutual connections. All of that needs to be there to show a strong profile. Whereas if you just work at a company, you automatically are credible because nobody's going to give any random person a job, right? Um, yeah, so that is one of the challenges. When you have an individual account though, and you start off, you can start out by putting out content that you will be relevant to your target audience, which then results in them in messaging you or inbound leads where they reach out to you and you're not actively reaching out to them. You can do that by sharing content. You can update your profile photo and share that, or you can update, your work experience and share that. So anytime you make an update, you can share that, which shows that you've done something recently, or maybe it's a course or a skill, right? Then you can do some outbound work as well. For instance, identify a list of maybe 10 to 20 users that you want to connect with in a day or in a week, depending on your bandwidth, and reach out to them. Include a personal note that you want to send to them, talking about why you want to reach out to them, and then you can engage in a conversation with them. I find getting on a phone call adds a lot more value than just messaging. And one of the things that I like to keep in mind when getting on a phone call is to always let the other person speak. So that also tends to build the relationship and build your profile in a really, really strong manner because the other individual also wants to learn about you then because you've let them speak for so long. And it helps them understand that you are true to your brand. So a lot of times when I speak to people, they realize my LinkedIn personality is my offline personality. And so I see them engage with my content a lot after because they know that it's me speaking and it's stuff that I'm really passionate about that I discuss. So I find making new connections sometimes works a lot better than leveraging your existing contacts because um, for instance, if my cousin sister was posting every day, after a point, maybe I get sick of seeing her post all the time and I don't engage with it all the time, right? It's very rare that I might choose to engage with it. Whereas someone from your personal network that you've engaged with on LinkedIn, you've made that connection through LinkedIn, and so they feel drawn to your LinkedIn posts, which I find is a huge advantage. Um, do you want me to also talk about solopreneurship right now, or?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. Am I
Yeah.
audible?
Yeah, I can hear you. So, um, when it comes to solopreneurship, that is again a personal choice. Individuals can choose to either be like a freelancer or they can start to build a company around LinkedIn marketing, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
so when you plan to set up a business, you would have to have a pipeline of clients you know that are willing to work with you because you'd have to hire a team. If not, you need to go and actively find partners that are available and flexible so that when you do get a client, you have other resources that you can leverage to get the client work done, right? Because when it's a business, there are a lot more services and deliverables that you will offer with it. You will offer more comprehensive packages to your clients to keep your clients coming back to your business over other businesses. So it requires a lot more resources in-house or on a contractual model than you would require as a freelancer. So now, if you are approaching this from a freelance perspective, I think there are two ways that you can go about it. Um, you can either handle the entire thing on your own, depending on your bandwidth. So if you are completely focused on LinkedIn marketing and it's your full-time freelance work, you can maybe onboard 2 to 3 or 6 clients a month, depending on how many hours you work per week, etc. And you can handle everything from them, from copywriting to design and their management, because all of these are different skills that you can acquire. Plus, there are tools like ChatGPT and Canva, which help you with design and copywriting. So you don't need to have the skills yourself. You just need to learn how to use different tools. And then there are also social media management platforms that can give you data analytics if you don't want to calculate it yourself. Um, when you also choose to freelance, if you want to take it up as more of part-time work or reduce your workload, you can find other freelancers to collaborate with or partners again, where maybe you work on the design or the creative side of it, and the other individual handles the copywriting or the management. So then you work together to service clients, and it gives you more room to either work with other clients or explore other ventures or businesses, or maybe even have another part-time job at another company that you're passionate about. So it really keeps, your career a little more dynamic.
Yeah, very interesting, very interesting. So I was thinking also like that, same pace, like, so yeah, when anyone want to start a kind of solopreneurship, then it's not that if it is freelancing kind of thing, then it's okay if you have doing that expertise like it, because when client normally comes to us, then it's not only the one work that you have to deliver. In that one work you need to having some lot of resources also,
Yeah,
then only you can deliver a perfect, because there are a lot of competitors also in the market. Okay,
for
and
sure.
everybody are just running through those client, and they are giving their good proposals, and then good work deliverables. So yeah, you need to be, even it is a solopreneur, and if it is you want to start your freelancing kind of work, then also at least to have some a team, a small team ready uh, with you, whether it's a contractual, of course, as you told, if
Yeah,
it is not a kind of they're like full-time employee, but at least you can contract, and then when you get the lead, then you can use them and deliver a good actionable whatever your work and all. Yeah, very
yeah.
interesting. Yeah. So so one another questions I was getting doubt about, and I don't understand that like what about the niche kind of market, or about the large scale company of this
Yeah.
kind of B2B LinkedIn? Uh,
Yeah.
Please explain that more short upon that. Yeah.
Yeah. So with niche and large scale, it completely comes down to your personal preference and your
Mhm.
personal values, right? So for me personally, I prefer a niche marketing company because there are certain values that I want to keep intact, and I can only get that done by maintaining a niche company. So what I focus on is most advertising companies really struggle with profitability and having, budgets to spend on XYZ things and give good salaries. So for me, good salaries and a lean company is what I focus on, and I can only achieve that by having a lean company. That being said, given the recent boom of generative AI, I think it's possible to also have a large scale marketing company while you don't compromise on those values, but that's not something that I've explored yet. Large scale companies gives you higher revenue, and it gives you exposure to a lot more clients or brands, but it's a high growth track, right? It's similar to startups. When you go into the growth track, you're focusing on growth and numbers, and you tend to compromise on certain things like quality and more core values, like maybe culture building becomes a lot more challenging at that level. Um, so specializing, in my opinion, or being a niche really helps with your personal brand as well, because an example for me in that case is I attended a marketing conference towards the end of last year where most of the companies that were there were digital marketing agencies, and any conversation that you engage with, everyone would just say, yeah, we run a digital marketing agency based out of XYZ city across the world. And then individuals were really intrigued to talk to me because I said I run a LinkedIn marketing company or a B2B marketing company. And so just hearing one slightly different word, right, it made me stand out compared to everybody else. And so I had so many people reach out to me and maintain contact after the event because I stood out relative to all the other digital marketing companies there. So being a niche has its advantages. Again, it just comes down to personal values and preferences and what your goal is with it, right? So if you're looking at kind of showcasing that you've worked with a lot of brands and you were able to generate X amount of revenue in X number of months, then working with a large scale marketing company works, because then you can also show that, hey, I grew my team from 2 people to 100 people in 1 year, right? So it depends on the metrics that you're focusing on.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, you are right. So I just want to understand that, when it comes to the commercial perspectives, like, from the client perspective, suppose I am a
Mm-hmm.
client and I want to do this LinkedIn marketing for my product or for my services. Okay.
Yeah.
So there are not only LinkedIn, but there are email marketing also. There are a lot of other B2B marketing is there. Okay. So for my perspective, being a company or being a any professionals also. Okay. So what is the costing? Like, is it LinkedIn so costly for the case of B2B marketing as compared to others?
Yeah, so LinkedIn ads are pretty expensive compared to the others.
Mm.
That being said, the ad cost has come down a little bit recently, but it is more
Mm.
expensive because again, you get the highest quality leads. So um,
Mm.
that's why LinkedIn works for B2B, because the ticket size of the person you're trying to attract is also larger, right? On a B2C
Exactly.
level, as you said
Mm.
as well, Facebook or Instagram, anything Meta, or even
Mm.
Twitter works better because it doesn't cost you as much to acquire a
Mm.
customer. And
Mm.
so I think that LinkedIn works well when you are trying to find a lead that is going to give you X amount of business, because then you're only spending very little compared to the amount of business that you're going to get from that individual. Whereas if you're
Mm.
focusing on B2C, LinkedIn might be expensive, and then it may just make sense to focus on, one of the Meta apps instead.
Mm. Yeah, right. Actually, it depends on your, whether it is a B2B or B2C. Of course,
Yeah,
if it is like B2C, then go ahead with Meta and all this, because they are quite cheaper than LinkedIn.
yeah,
But when it comes to B2B, then of course here there is a reason also behind, because here you are directly connecting with the potential your audience. If you
yeah.
wanted to connect with the directors and all, so through like other platforms, like it will be very difficult for you to connect the person that directors or. But yeah, if your product is to directly connecting with the audience, like normal people or consumers, then it's okay. But for the case of LinkedIn, as they are providing this much big platforms, so it all of it's very reasonable to charge a little bit high, uh, because they're also it's very actionable and target or oriented also. Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay, so and this is gonna be the last question and concluding. Okay, and so throughout this, of course, the career perspectives, the industry perspectives, and the entrepreneurship perspectives of LinkedIn and B2B marketing, quite like we got a lot to understand a lot of things in that things about LinkedIn and all. So from your perspectives, I wanted to understand that like you also have throughout this since a long time you are doing this LinkedIn marketing and B2B marketing in this industry. So what do you think, what is the future perspectives? I mean, what do you think, what is your thought on this, or what going to be the future of B2B marketing, and as well as what going to be the future with LinkedIn marketing,
Yeah,
LinkedIn marketing for the case of for the particular sector of B2B marketing. Yeah.
yeah.
What is the
Um,
future of it? Yeah.
I guess I would love to start with a little bit of a joke. So recently I put up a post
Yeah.
about how this city was looking at CVs and your LinkedIn profile before renting out an apartment to you. So that's how relevant LinkedIn has become. It not only helps you with your job, it also helps you find an apartment. That shows, the widespread effect that it's had. Um, in terms of the future of B2B marketing, something that we're already seeing come into effect is generative AI. It really, really helps marketing teams. So um, let me explain this as a little more of an example. Say you are a
Yeah.
company that hires a designer and a copywriter, and you want to pay them good salaries. Maybe they're mid-level, so you're paying them about, or maybe entry level, so you're paying them about 40,000 each. You're spending 80,000 on each of those individual salaries per month. Say then you decide to take up Chat GPT instead, which is right now free. So you are cutting down that 40,000 to zero, and instead you have this designer who you then may pay 50,000 to also manage the tool and not just design, right? So then you use Chat GPT to create your output, and you have everything done in 50,000, whereas and you've saved that 30,000 that you would have spent if you had hired those two individuals before, right? That
Mhm.
30,000 gives you room to then maybe bring in a new tool which also makes your company more efficient. Chat GPT not only helps you cut costs, but it also cuts down your copywriting time by so much, right? So you save money as well as time. And so that
Mm.
30,000 that you have now saved, you can apply to another tool that similarly helps you to cut down time or money, right? And
Mm.
that gives your organization a lot more room to scale because you have now this extra capital that you can spend on other things that either helps you save time and money or grow. So that's just kind of what's happening at present as well. Some of the few
Mhm.
things that we're going to see in the next few years is talent marketing and culture. So we're
Mhm.
moving away from this hype marketing and just where you put out a lot of like nice looking content, fancy words, fluff words, as they may call it, and we're moving into authenticity. So where you see employee advocacy and you see companies showcasing their work culture, that automatically leads to individuals, high quality individuals wanting to join their companies. So just by marketing or putting out such content, you can also improve your talent acquisition process, which I feel is a way to kill two birds
Mhm.
with one stone. That being
Mhm.
said, organizations will then also have to bring in leadership roles that help internal as well as external stakeholders keep up with such changes and educate, the companies as well as provide customers information on how they are going to be helping them rather than
Mhm.
just focusing on, saying fancy things to acquire people. Storytelling is a new way that it's not new.
Mhm.
It's actually it's a very archaic process that has come back into
Yeah.
attracting your audience. It's something that Apple uses
Yeah.
to market its
Yeah,
products
being a
and
creator.
yeah,
Now this everybody are like to be being a creator and all. Yeah.
yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. So when you can actually add a story to something, right, it adds a lot more meaning to it. That's the way that Apple markets its products. When you create a story, people are very used to that format of understanding something. We've been listening to stories since we were children. And so when you
Mhm.
put something across as a story, it really connects with you and it makes that whole buying decision and the buyer experience a lot better. It adds
Mm.
credibility, and it also helps establish trust. Another way that we
mm,
can see this authenticity come about is there's been a switch from macro influencers to micro influencers. People are looking to work with micro
mm,
influencers because their audience tends to be more
yeah,
legitimate, right? And
yeah,
so all of this kind of depicts a culture where we're switching to building authenticity and building trust,
mm,
which leads to
mm,
brand awareness and ultimately conversion. And in the long run, it also allows you to bring in new talent. Another thing that we see that is pretty common in the Web3 space is community-based marketing. And I think a great example of that is Midjourney. I found Midjourney on the internet and then I joined their Discord page, and you can create images through Midjourney. So it's kind of similar to DALL-E, where you can create an image. So you type in a prompt on Discord and it gives you an output, an image output for different images. Then you can choose one of the images and you can choose to have that specific image rendered in 4 different versions. So it's pretty cool how all of this comes about just through their Discord community. And I'm sure everyone that's a part of their Discord community is talking about it to other people. So that becomes word of mouth or marketing in itself, right? So these are some of the changes that we're going to see and we are already seeing, which I feel like would be the largest shift in the B2B marketing space.
yeah, yeah. So I just want to mention one thing here. See, I personal on my personal level, I use Insta, I use FB, I use LinkedIn, but I am telling you, the honest thing is, if it is very easy to like influence, if you want to become a influencer or to do make some good aware about your brand, like personal branding I'm talking about, then it is very easy as compared to other platforms in LinkedIn,
Yeah,
because LinkedIn's the audience LinkedIn in LinkedIn, it's very, all are professionals, very much
yeah,
professionals. So it's very easy for any person to create a good vibe there, because all are like very serious people here, very professionals here in LinkedIn. So it's become a very easier task for us to, at least if you, is for my case, I just because I'm having a lot of other works, like I'm doing it still my doctoral degrees and my startup things and my lot of other, I'm also a trainer also. So in weekends also normally I become very much busy in weekends, in fact. This is case, and still I'm having a little bit time, and whatever I having my thought process. So being a having I mean, I'm maintaining a good profile in LinkedIn. So like weekly once or twice I post any updates or any videos and small videos and all, and that uh, makes me very easy to connect with the client actually. And
yeah,
those clients somehow we can follow up, and then they become my like client for a long-term perspective sort of. So here it's very filtered what I feel, and that's the reason that what I also am thinking is now LinkedIn will be there. LinkedIn will be there, and though still people or like business, small businesses, or because what I found throughout my LinkedIn like profile and interactions and all, like large companies, like the big giants, like they are already using this LinkedIn marketing, okay, on the promotional perspectives for their companies, services, for their companies, products and all. But in a small scale companies or niche, small scales or micro level companies, they are somehow, what I feel now, they are still not that much familiar about this LinkedIn, because somehow what I feel, somehow they feel LinkedIn is so costly. Okay, LinkedIn is so costly, so don't go ahead with LinkedIn, so go to other. But think about that, if you wanted to invest for the marketing, and if you are investing some X amount in other platforms, then the time, if you count, it will take a longer time as compared to LinkedIn, because in LinkedIn you will get a direct client, direct audience, like all the businesses are here, all the business persons are here, so you can directly get interactions with that. It's a kind of wild card entry. for that case. Wildcard entry you are getting, and you are directly connecting with them. So on that time is money. What I feel also, time is money. So you are,
100%.
minimizing your time. That actually gives you a good return, good ROI. So that is what I feel. So of course, I think also, future when it comes to B2B, then future is with LinkedIn. Okay.
Yeah,
And of course, all others like B2B, like, email marketing is also there. Even, we use LinkedIn as a, like, email marketing tool also, because we use messaging there, which actually part sort of what we do through our email, through
yeah,
our, whatever the proposals or brochure we share to the client. And here you, through your yeah, email messaging, you can share this that.
yeah,
And another lot of tools here, like, resources is there, like, news later also, I think we can generate there in
for
LinkedIn.
sure.
So through
Yeah,
that also we can create a good, vibe, good, interactions with the with our businesses, with our clients and all.
yeah,
Okay, so
I,
these tools actually good, helping us to, generate leads. So of course,
for sure.
future is the LinkedIn.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what you said is actually very true. I think what that ultimately points down to is it creates less friction. So on LinkedIn, like you said, you can have messaging, but you can also see somebody's photo, you can see their company, and you can easily click into the websites to assess their credibility. It saves you steps, and so you're much more likely to commit and engage. One feature that I feel like is quite untapped though is live streaming. Not everybody has access to it on LinkedIn, but those that actually do live stream get much more engagement and reach than putting up videos on LinkedIn. So if you have access to live streams on LinkedIn, I would really recommend you try it out.
Yeah, I have that access actually. Yeah,
Yeah,
I remember I was going through my LinkedIn. I have somewhere around 15,000 followers there. So
okay.
I think they given me the access, and I can use that for my, live interaction with
Yeah,
my client. Yeah, that is also a very good, tool to interact with the audience lively, like, streaming. We can do that.
yeah. Maybe
Yeah,
for your
so
next
it is good
session.
to, yeah, it is good on your, like, for the personal branding case, right? Those
Yeah,
people who wanted to do some, marketing for the personal branding, or even marketing for their services, for their
yeah,
company services, they can, organize a webinar there. I think webinars, or, live streaming, or even the, like, these interactions that we are
yeah,
having through, like, in here, we can also use our LinkedIn also for live
for sure.
interactions and all. Yeah,
I
yeah.
think that would be
And,
maybe your next
mm,
test project could be this on
yeah,
LinkedIn
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Live.
yeah. Let's do it then. Okay. The next
Okay.
interaction gonna be in LinkedIn. Okay. Okay, then, it was really, nice to talk with you, and thanks for managing your time. And I know, like, we both are in same industry. Okay, so, and, over the period that, if things going good, and then we can also collaborate in any kind of, projects also. Okay,
Definitely.
so, thank you so much, thank you for joining. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Mirdul, for having me. It was a pleasure being a part of this.
Yeah, thank you so much. Bye.
Have a great day. Bye bye.